the state of the matters regarding Dr. Kizza Besigye and Obed Lutale, the status of their case. I'm sure many of you are wondering as to what is going on. We want to update you on the progress, if at all there is any, and the actions we are taking. You recall the last time we appeared before court, they had tried to pursue an application to open Dr. Besigye and Obed Lutale's phones so that they could access the data on those gadgets. And after a spirited fight that we put up, finally, Her Worship Nantege had to dismiss the application because obviously she had no jurisdiction after committing Dr. Kizza Besigye. As we speak today, Dr. Besigye and Obed Lutale have clocked 240 days on remand in Iruzira. 240 days. The Constitution is quite clear and very, very instructive in Article 23. Once you have clocked 280 days, rather 180 days, you're entitled to mandatory bail. We don't need to repeat this time and again. Once one has been on remand, a period of 180 days, they're entitled to mandatory bail. But there have been machinations and maneuvers within the justice system that have thwarted all these processes of getting bail. First of all, we take exception to those maneuvers, those machinations, the manipulations that have been going on in the criminal justice system to deny Dr. Kizza Besigye bail and Obed Lutale. Very, very unfortunate and regrettable. Secondly, we filed applications for bail. My brother, the Honorable Semuju, has alluded to one which was before Comfort Kanya, which was dismissed without any justifiable reason. After the judge being convinced that actually Dr. Besigye and Obed Lutale had satisfied all the conditions and requirements for grant of bail. But that notwithstanding, she denied them their right, which is guaranteed under the Constitution. But now what is happening? We subsequently filed 2 applications. The head of the criminal division of the High Court, Justice Baguma, allocated these files to Justice Emmanuel. That's not true. The head of the criminal division of the High Court is called David Matovu. Sorry. It's called David Matovu. Allocated the 2 files to Justice Emmanuel Baguma. Now, since May, when these applications were filed, we are now in July. So I was telling you, Justice David Baguma, who heads the division, the criminal division of the High Court, allocated these 2 files to Justice Emmanuel Baguma, David Matovu. Now, Justice Baguma, up to now, has refused to fix the bail application. Time and again, we have faced him. We have had the conversation and discussion with him on these matters and put it squarely to him that please, you have a duty to fix these matters, have them heard, and you decide them one way or the other. Can you imagine the arrogance he has exhibited? He told us in our face, in no uncertain terms, that he's not going to fix those applications. He has totally refused. He said, do whatever you want. I am not fixing these applications. Then we asked him, please, can you return the files to the person who assigned them to you, the head of the division, Justice Matovu? Again, he refused. He's holding onto the files, but he's not ready to fix them for hearing. We had to write a complaint to the head of the division and copied in the principal judge. Up to now, we have not been favored with a response from the principal judge or even the head of the division. They have all kept quiet. We have all these communications. There is a trail of communications which we will share with you. Then you wonder what they are up to. That is the status of the bail applications. Now, regarding the main case, you recall on the 29th of May, Dr. Besigye and Obed Lutale were committed to High Court for trial. And what happens? Once you are committed, the file from the Chief Magistrate in Nakawa was supposed to be transmitted to ICD, because that's where the trial is going to be conducted from, to the International Crimes Division of the High Court. Up to now, Her Worship Nantege is still holding on to the file. It is still in Nakawa. Up to now, it has not been forwarded to High Court, the ICD. You ask Nantege, you did your work. You are supposed to handle pre-trial processes. You are supposed to process the issues to do with the investigations within 6 months. That was done. You tried to extend your time. We frustrated it. We thwarted it. We blocked it. Legally, we blocked it. Now, what is it that you are doing with the file of Dr. Besigye and Obed Lutale after committing them to High Court for trial? She cannot answer that question. So these are the frustrations we are expressing to you, which we have registered. We wanted the matter to be fixed for hearing at ICD. We faced the registrar at the ICD. That can't you fix it first, in a session to have the matter heard? Said, but the file is not here with me. Then we asked the registrar of the ICD, can you write to the magistrate to bring it? He said, but we are not notified that they have finished the trial, the pre-trial processes. They have no record whatsoever that Dr. Besigye and Obed Lutale have since been committed to High Court for trial. That's where we are now. Now, what do we intend to do? We have agreed. We are going to assemble here in a week's time. All of us at Katonga here, we are going to let you know that we are going to face off with the principal judge. Yes, we are going to assemble here. We are giving them only 1 week, within which to process all these issues and to this kind of ping pong to come to an end. We want this ping pong to come to an end within 1 week, or else we storm the office of the chambers of the the principal judge, and cause these matters to be fixed for hearing. The Constitution commands that one is entitled to speedy and fair trial. You can't hold the people incommunicado without trial. Totally unacceptable. So we are saying, please, if they are not ready to process this matter, to have them fixed for hearing, let them release Dr. Kizza Besigye unconditionally. So we are going to face off with the principal judge over this matter. If we don't get a remedy, then we shall square up with the Chief Justice, and we are not going to leave any stone unturned until we have gotten justice for our people, Dr. Besigye and Obed Lutale, and all other political prisoners. I want also to bring you at least some positive news that our colleagues in Nairobi, the legal team is headed by Senior Counsel Martha Karua. So even Nairobi, we assembled up a legal team, a very, very strong, formidable legal team, which is pursuing these matters that side. And in the course of today, the team in Nairobi is filing a case against the government of Kenya for the abduction of Dr. Kizza Besigye from within their territory. This is not IARA. This is High Court Kenya. Rather, yes, High Court of Kenya in Nairobi. They have their Constitution and Human Rights Division. That's where the matter is being filed today by our legal team in Nairobi. Today. We have finalized the necessary paperwork. They came here, wrote the affidavits. They were signed by Dr. Besigye and Obed Lutale from Luzira, The law requires that if it's cross-border, whatever litigation, you get all the papers this side notarized. We got a notary public who went to Zira, notarized these documents, and then we sent them back to Nairobi. Now the team has finalized the necessary paperwork, and the filing is today. And these are the offices that have been dragged to court. The Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the first respondent. The second one is the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Defense. The third one, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Interior and the National Administration. The fourth one is the Inspector General of Police of Kenya. The Director General of the Directorate of Immigration Services, and the Honorable Attorney General as the sixth respondent, and then the seventh one, the officer in charge, Malaba Border Post. The reason, one, abduction and kidnap of Dr. Kizza Besigye, not taking them through the due process there before deporting them, because they needed to be declared them as fugitives, criminal fugitives in Kenya, and they had to seek for court orders within the judicial system of Kenya for an order of transfer back to Uganda. That is what is provided for in the Extradition Act of Kenya and the Extradition Act of Uganda. They never followed the process, the due process provided for in the Extradition Act. Two, they also violated the territorial integrity of Kenya. The Attorney General and all these people allowing mercenaries from Kenya, from Uganda to cross the border, kidnap individuals who are protected by the laws of Kenya and bring them here without the due process. And finally, violation of the immigration protocols. Because the immigration protocols require your papers are supposed to be, processed at the border point. They have to be stamped on either side of the border. This never happened. So, and a number of other grounds. So, this is, at least, this gives us a glimmer of hope, because with Kenya, their justice system is a little faster compared to ours. You recall even during the recent Mandamano, when they had slammed the blackout on the media, live coverage, immediately they went to court. Within an hour, the order had been issued out. So we are sure this one is going to be expeditiously handled in Kenya, and it's going to give us one of the remedies we expect to get. Those who are interested in getting a copy of the petition, we do have it with all the details that has been filed in Kenya. So we shall share it with you. Finally, the Museveni visit to Kampala here. As PFF, we take exception to this conduct. Museveni has been crisscrossing the entire country. He's campaigning. He's on a campaign trail. Now, for him, he's winding up the campaigns for 2026. Actually, he has got 7 days within a whole week in Kampala here. He has started today. Normally, what happens in campaigns, candidates start from the countryside. They start from remote areas and they end in Kampala. Nominations for presidential candidates is in October. But Museveni has wound up campaigns under the guise of monitoring PDM. We condemn this in the strongest terms possible, and we take exception to this. He has scheduled rallies in Rubaga, that's where he's starting, that is ending up in Kampala Central here. Can you imagine? They declared the Constitutional Square out of bounds, that we're not allowed to go there. Then they said, okay, if you want to have your rallies, you can always go to Kororo. You remember one time during FOC here, we ended up going to Kororo. But since that time, they took Kororo under the control of State House. So you can't access Kororo. Now, Kampala is out of bounds for opposition, but Museveni is free to roam around. Now you can hear the noise. Whoa, 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 whoa. They are all over. They have taken over Kampala. Never mind that I'm around, the custodian of the city. They are here causing a lot of noise. But we want to put Mr. Museveni to notice. Okay, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. Now he has opened it up. After he has gone, we are also going to take over Kampala. We are also prepared. we are going to do our movements around Kampala, and we expect no interruptions from anyone as we conduct also our campaigns, because that is also our right. The issue of the late Professor Kanyama. We joined the nation and the international community in mourning one of the luminaries of constitutional law and the governance in this country. You know, in the legal profession, we have people who have exceedingly surpassed the test of an ordinary lawyer or justice or judge, and in the league of their own. Those ones are called the jurists. Kanyama has been one of the renowned jurists beyond the borders of Uganda. And we do celebrate him. And amongst the jurists, there are also sages, SAGES, sages of the law. He's been a sage, a colossus, one of those eminent persons who exude nothing but that reverence, those reverends. He's been a reverend person you can revere, respect, right from the time he served in government as Attorney General up to the current moment, to the present moment. He has died at the battlefront as a vanguard of rule of land constitutionalism. Even in his last days, Kanyama did not give up. He's been, you've noticed several times, being wheeled to courts of law. I think the last case he filed was against Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. It was about amending the constitution to remove all the provisions relating to bail. Invited me as one of the lawyers to be in that case. And the professional aspect, I had crept into our discussion, because I felt like, it was not proper for us, legally speaking, to drag a sitting president to court, because that is the position of the law. I told him, in as much as I'd wish us to, take that directive, that position, rather direction, sorry, take that direction, that position of dragging Yoweri Kaguta Museveni as a person to court, to not be proper in the law. He charged at me and said, "You man, why are you people fearing Museveni? Why don't you want us to file a case against Yoweri Kaguta Museveni? Because it's not the government of Uganda which is amending the constitution. It is Museveni. He has not been advised by the Attorney General to abrogate the constitution and vulgarize it, remove or expand all the provisions relating to bail. It is Museveni as a person." And said the parliament has not even passed the law. So it is Museveni who is abrogating the constitution. We drag him to court. Indeed, he stood by his position and took Museveni to court, to the constitutional court. And he argued out the case from a wheelchair. That is Kanyama for you. In a special way, at Katonga here, we shall always remember his position, his firm stance in the 2006 case. That is Dr. Besigye versus Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, election petition number 1 of 2006, which was argued out in the Supreme Court. I was still a very young man at that time. I was one of the lawyers in that case. Supreme Court election petition number 1 of 2006. Dr. Besigye versus Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and the Electoral Commission. Kanyama was very, very instrumental, very assertive, and he took a decision which was unprecedented at that time to annul Museveni's election and direct there should be a fresh election. Never mind the history they had shared, the journey they had traveled together with Museveni. He took a firm position and said, no way. Museveni rigged elections and elections must be nullified. That wouldn't be the issue because he was not alone. It was a 4-3 judgment. There were 4 in favor of upholding the election and 3 who dissented, who were against the majority decision. The 4 were Odoki, Murenga, Katurebe, and Karokora. The 3, Kanyehamba, Sekoko, and Justice Odell. Those were the 3 who dissented. But what makes Kanyehamba a unique character who stands out amongst the many is his maverick character as a judge. You know what he did in that case? He told the behind the scene events that led to the reversal of the earlier decision, which was in favor of annulling the elections. He told the story, the untold story. He told it. He said, upon conclusion of the hearing of the case, judges normally go into what they call a judges' conference to decide which position they are taking. He tells us, and this is well documented, go and read The Blessings and the Joy of Being Who You Are, written by Justice Kanyehamba. And on several occasions, he has told this story. Said the first judges' conference that was convened, there were 4 justices against 3 in favor of annulling Museveni's election. We had won the case. Then what Odoki did, because he was the Chief Justice presiding over the proceedings, he requested the justices, go and sleep over it. Then we return tomorrow. They come back the following day. He asks again, amongst the 4 who were for annulling the election, Kanyehamba was not there. Amongst the first 4 who were for annulling the election, Kanyehamba was not there. He was among the 3 who were against, who were for upholding the election of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. I hope we are together now. The first judges' conference, there were 4 justices who said the election should be annulled. There were 3 who dissented and decided it should not be annulled. Kanyehamba was amongst the 3 who were for the side of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, saying, I'm not convinced that there is cogent evidence to have the election annulled. Then the following day comes, he says, you people, Justice Odoki asks them, can you probably reflect on this? Maybe you might have changed your mind. They sit in a judges' conference the following day. Still, the status quo remained. 3 annulling, no, 4 annulling, 3 saying no. Odoki was puzzled. Odoki was still puzzled. He said, let's give it more time. Let's give it more time and see if there could be some of you changing your mind again. Then late in the night, Kanyehamba tells us in that book, The Blessings. Justice Mulenga calls him late in the night. Justice Mulenga was amongst those who were annulling the election. Justice Mulenga was amongst the 4 who were for annulling the election. He calls him late in the night and asks him, my brother George, I hope you have convinced yourself thoroughly about the position you have taken. But I wish you could read this evidence, this. He instructed him, he directed him. Read this kind of evidence, read this affidavit, address your mind to this, blah, 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 blah. Then Kanyama tells us he spent a sleepless night reading through the evidence which had been introduced to him by Justice Mulenga. The following morning, he calls Mulenga and says, thank you, my brother. I am now convinced this election must be annulled. Now, they became 5 against 2. And it was an uphill task for now Odoki to take a decision to change the status quo. To cut the long story short, what happens? The machinations were done, the maneuvers, the cajoling, the intimidation, the what. And I think the last spanner in the wheel, according to Kanyehamba, then Odoki calls a conference and tells all the judges that yes, he respects the decision they had taken, but he had talked to the president and the army. They said they will not accept that decision. So are you ready for the consequences? That's what Odoki asked. Are you ready for the consequences? You deliver the decision, the rest is your business. Then the 3, one of them dropped the position he had taken. Now it goes back to 4 against 3. One of them again returned to the other side. So the final position now comes, the final straw came. Kanyehamba. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Mulenga has since passed on. He calls Kanyehamba and said, my brother, I'm sorry I took you down in the valley and I abandoned you there. That marked the end of the story. So Mulenga threw the dice. It became 3 dissenting, 4 upholding the election. And that's how we lost. But the story we are telling you about Kanyehamba, the kind of stance he took, the kind of position he took, the assertiveness. You know, he writes in defense of the abrasive character, the way he told off Odoki that, please, I will not be bulldozed. And the fact that he followed his conscience. Initially, he hadn't been convinced, but he wasn't just influenced by his colleague, but he took a cautious decision after reading the evidence and taking the appropriate decision. That is the man we celebrate. Very illustrious character he has lived, and we shall always remember him for that. At Katonga, we do celebrate him for that bold decision he taken, and the illustrious career he has lived all through his life up to the last minute as we speak today. May his soul rest in eternal peace. So I've tried to explain it, but please go and read that book, The Blessings and Joy of Being Who You Are. You will get the full story, how Kanyehamba explains it. And nobody has come out to rebut it or in any way to challenge it, that to assert that it's not authentic. So kindly, please, read it for your own benefit. Tusaasira nnyo famire ya Kanyehamba, tusaasira nnyo bannayuganda, era twegatta ku nsi yonna okungubagira omuzira ono mu nsonga za rule of law ne constitutionalism. Kanyehamba akontributinze kinene ku jurisprudence wa Uganda n'ow'ensi yonna. Ebitabo byawandiise tebisomwa Uganda yokka, bisomwa nsi yonna. Abaana basomesezza mu mateeka bangi nnyo. Bw'otunulira ebitabo byawandiise biyitirivu bwe biti, Kanyehamba okkiriza nti is a legal sage oba kafulu bali ba jurists mu mateeka. So tujja kumusubwa nnyo naye nga tumwebaza okubanga asobodde okuteeka ettaffaali ku Uganda eno ku nsonga ya rule of law y'amateeka ne ya justice ku bwenkanya. Era twebaza Omukama Katonda amusobozesezza okukola emirimu egyo paka w'aviiridde mu nsi muno. Era mulabye ng'ali mu kagaali ng'aguluba n'ensonga zino mu kkooti etaputa ssemateeka. Musango gwa Dr. Kizza Besigye ogwa 2006 Kanyama yalaga obuziro obw'ekikugu obw'ekika ekyawaggulu. Yali omu ku balamuzi abasatu abaagaana okulondebwa kwa Mwami Yoweri Kaguta Museveni tukwali mu mateeka. Judgment yali abalamuzi 4 nga bawagira okulondebwa kwa Museveni, basatu nga bagamba nti Museveni yalondebwa mu mateeka. Mutoto bali 7. Naye ekikwewuunyisa Kanyama kwe kuba nti yajjayo ebyali ebyekusifu eri munda bye baali bakwekedde n'atubuulira butya bwe bamanipulatinga bwe bacyanga results ezikyukakyuka. Kanyama ekikwewuunyisa akulaga mu katabo ke The Blessings and Joy of Being Who You Are. Ekitabo ekyo mbasaba mu kitunuulire mu kisome annyonnyola ebyali mu musango ogwo. Ngalaga yali omu ku bantu 4 abaali bagamba nti Museveni yawangula mu butuufu, ng'abasatu bagamba nti teyawangula mu butuufu. Naye oluvannyuma ennyo mukwano gwe nnyo eyali mu kitongole ekiramuzi bamuyita Justice Mulenga amukubira essimu ekiro amuga nti wayi wasomye ku bujulizi buno, wasomye ku affidavit eno, tunulirako ne kino ne kino. Enkeera Kanyama amugamba weebale nnyo nnyambye mukulu Mulenga, by'oyogedde binnyambye okufuna ekifaananyi ekituufu era nange neegasse kubagenda okusazaamu okulonda. Okusooka baali 4 nga basazaamu okulonda ku 3. Kakati Kanyama bw'abeegattako ne bawera 5 ku 2. Naye ekyamala eggobe mu kibya bagenda okutuuka ku lunaku olw'okusalawo Odoki abamulemye okukyusa. Odoki ng'abagamba nti ayogedde ne President Museveni, ayogedde n'amagye gagambye tegajja kukkiriza bigenda kuva mu kkooti eno era ekiddirira mwe munaamanya. Awo we waava 2 okukyuka naye era basigadde nga bakyali bavumu bali 4 ku 3 naye bagenda okusituka okugenda okusoma judgment. Mulenga babuuza wali Odoki abuuza ogusembayo mmwe bannange ffenna we twasibidde we tukyali. Kanyama wandika mu kitabo kye ng'alaba Mulenga ng'akoteko mutume yiso rest in eternal peace. Mulenga naye yalina bye yakola ebirungi kale naye alaba Mulenga ng'akoteko mutwe bw'ati n'agamba nzikiriza Museveni yawangula mu mazima na bwenkanya. Ng'alaba awinga bw'ati ni shame. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Naga nti munnange nange nzikiriza. Kanyama agamba yagwawo n'ekigo. Nagamba gwe wantutte eri. Naye bamala okusoma judgment Mulenga amukubira ekiro okumwetondera. Amugamba I'm sorry my brother. I took you down the valley and abandoned you there. I'm quoting verbatim. Genda eyo quotation eri mu kitabo kya Kanyama The Blessings and Joy of Being Who You Are. Oli amugamba I'm sorry my brother. I took you down the valley and I abandoned you there. Kubanga ye yamumatiza nti kyuka ove ku side eri eyabaga nti Museveni awangudde mazima na bwenkanya. Odde ku eno kubanga obujulizi buubuno. Kanyama n'asigala nga mugumu yadde nga yalibwamu olukwe. Tumwebaza nti yayimirirawo, tumwebaza ate ekyensusu nti yatubuulira ebiri emabega eyo kubanga bituyamba nnyo okumanya ki ekigenda maaso. Politics ali mu Judiciary okwongera omutegeera era mbasaba mukisome nnyo mukitegeere bwino n'atambule nnyo nga tujjukira Kanyama nti mulimu bangi abakukulira ebintu ebyo ne bitavaayo naye Kanyama waba yabitubuulira tubitegeeza abantu bonna n'abalamuzi bamanye nti bwe bakola kakisya waabwe eyo lumu ajja kufuluma ategeerekeke. So lwe tujja okufuna obwenkanya mu ggwanga lino. Dr. Besigye mu bufunze mmanye emisango we gituuse. Twateekayo bail applications mu July. No. Twateekayo bail applications 2 mu 25 oluvannyuma lwa Comfort Kanya okuba mu mabail. We twogerera olwaleero Dr. Besigye n'Obedi Lutale baakamala ennaku 24 ku remand. 240 ng'ate ssemateeka agamba bw'oba owezezza emyezi 6 z'ennaku 108 olina right okufuna gye bayita mandatory bail. Mukyala Nantege Nakawa yagaana okuwa Dr. Besigye n'Obedi Lutale bail. Etteeka ligamba nti kale fayiro giweereze mu High Court, n'agaana naye okugiweereza. Kaakati ne tuteekayo ffe bail applications mu High Court 2, emu ya mandatory endala ya discretionary. Kaakati Justice David Matovu yakulira Criminal Division ya High Court n'akwata fayiro ezo 2 n'aziwa Justice Baguma. Naye ekikwewuunyisa era eggwanga lino liri mu mankatabu, omulamuzi wa kooti Baguma Emmanuel yatugambye nga takirumye namu ng'akaza amaaso nti ne munaakola mutya tagenda kuwuliriza bail applications ezo. Application tajja zifixinga kuwulirwa. N'agamba sebo nitumugamba sebo etteeka ligamba zifixing oziwulire osalewo gwe nga bw'olabye. N'agamba sijja kuzifixinga anti mwagenda dda simanyi wa principal judge na mugende eyo. N'agaana era yagaanye. Ne tumugamba zikwate ozizzeeyo wa mukamaawo eyazikuwa head wa division aziwa omulamuzi omulala. N'agaana nakyo sijja kukikola. Kati azikutte azitadde mu drawer ye asibyewo n'ekisumuluzo yakirina. Obwannagalaalo obufaanana bwe butyo gye bayita impunity of the highest order mu ggwanga lino. Awo we tuli. Ekyokubiri, main case mukimanyi bulungi nti balina okukola hearing oba okuwulira case. Ebyokunoonyereza byaggwa. Yadde mukyala Nantege we Nakawa yali agezaako okupalapalanya alabe nga ayambako state efune obujulizi obupya bwe baali banoonya mu masimu ga Dr. Besigye n'Obedi Lutale. Oluvannyuma lwa komito twabirwanyisa era ne tubiremesa. Fayiro n'agigoba, application n'agigoba. Kubanga yali amaze okukola kye bayita komito ng'omaze okuŋŋaanya obujulizi n'ogamba nti state eri ready okupresentinga keesi yaayo mu kooti. Ennaku z'omwezi 29 omwezi ogwokutaano ne baakola komito n'empapula nga zirina okugenda mu High Court. Kati ffe ng'ekisigadde tulina kulwanagana eno mu ICD, International Crimes Division, bawulirize keesi eno baba gifixinge mu session etandika okuwulirizibwa. Nayo kikwewuunyisa fayiro tetuukanga. Fayiro tetuukanga. Waliwo n'ogamba nti bagitika ku nfudo etambula. Naye n'okusimbula tesimbulanga kuva Nakawa. Ekyali wa magistrate Nantege Christine. Eri Nakawa. Imagine omaze okukomitinga abantu obaweereza mu High Court for trial. N'ogamba fayiro eno ebisigadde mugende mubikolereko mu High Court. Ate n'okwata fayiro n'ogirookinga apo. So ekyali Nakawa okuva nga 29 ogwokutaano ne tuyita mu gw'omukaaga katuli mu gwa 7 fayiro ekyali eri. Twagamba registrar wa ICD, International Crimes Division, wandiikira mukyala Nantege omugambe nti fayiro eyo gye wakomitinga gireete. N'agamba bo tebafunangako bbaluwa yonna bagamba nti Dr. Besigye bamukomitinga mu ICD for trial. Kati atandikirewo okuwandiika. Talinayo na fayiro namba, talinayo na ki. N'agamba mpandiike kiro ekitwala omunaku, sijja kuwandiika. Nina agamba tajja kuwandiika. Eno Baguma agambye tajja kola ki? Kuwuliriza bail application. Nantege fayiro agiremedde. Registrar wa gundi wa ICD naye agamba sijja kuwandiika. Bonna bali wali bwe bati. Kaakati ne baagala bakuwa ekifaananyi nti ebyo ebya Dr. Besigye okumuwozesa balinga bagaa nti baabivaako abeere eyo avundire mu kkomera. Tubakakasa Dr. Besigye n'Obedi Lutale tebagenda kuvundira mu kkomera. Tugenda kufaafaagana nabo. Era tukola enteekateeka zonna okulaba nga tubawadde week age oyo Katemba neyo pingipongo gwe balimu nezo illegal gymnastics ezo ze balimu tubawadde 1 week nga gymnastics ezo bazikomeza bafixinge matters zino ziwulirwe. Bwe batakikole tugenda kusitukanga team mu week age tugende wa principal judge era naye wotafuna eyo bwenkanya tugende wa chief justice. Tetugenda kukkiriza kugamba nti Dr. Besigye afiira mu lukomera nga tewali trial. Ekirala kwe kuba nti Nairobi amawulire ge tubaleetera nti Kenya tiimu yaffe eyateekebwayo mukama waffe akulira legal team senior counsel Martha Karua kubanga tulina eri ne Uganda ne legal team eri Kenya. Team eri Kenya yamaliriza enteekateeka ez'okufayiringa omusango ng'ewaabira abakungu ab'enjawulo mu Kenya. Era empapula twazimaze ddo zikola, baatusaba tukole ku affidavit eno era ne tugireeta ne tugenda nekolebwako ne tugenda e Luzira, Dr. Besigye n'Obed Lutale ne basayininga, Notary Public naye n'asayininga ne ziddayo Kenya. Kati Kenya enteekateeka zaawedde olwaleero bafayiringa. Maybe kyenyinza okwongerako nti ku mpapula zino kuliko ne Law Society of Kenya. Mukyalo Odhiambo ye president wa Law Society Kenya, naye yagambye Law Society of Kenya nayo egendeko, nayo eri interested musango guno era bebamu kubeegasse musango guno era bagenda kubeerayo nnyo nga bw'okiwulira. So tuyinako Law Society of Kenya ne legal team yaffe omusango bagupashuwinga oba bagufayiringa olwaleero tugulwaneko nese kulwanako yonna. Naye ng'ensonga enkulu ziri mu 3 empapula tugenda kuzibawaako wano. Esooka kuba nti bagoberera extradition laws, nti eri oyina okumala okufuna court order okukomyawo omuntu ono. Kyebakola yali abduction, kuwamba buwambi. Ekyokubiri kwe kukola violation of the territorial integrity. Uganda eringa eya invadinga Kenya, invasion of Kenya. Kati tosobola kubanga olweta abamasinali bave ne bayita buyisi ku border ne banyakula kye banyakula, ne bakwata Dr. Besigye ne babayisaawo nga bwe baagala. Ekyokusatu n'aba immigration bano kwebali nabo bawaabiddwa kubanga waliwo amateeka agafuga ebya borders. Dr. Besigye mwalaba passport ye nzinnakomawo nayo. Bwe nagenda e Nairobi ne njifuna okuva mu hoteri ne njireeta. Tebasitampinga, mbamuyisa ku border nga talina na passport. Naddayo oluvannyuma ne njinona okuva mu Waridi hotel ne njikomyawo. Ne bamuyisa ku border nga tebasitampinze empapula. Ekyo nakyo kimenya amateeka. Aba immigration balina okunnyonnyola. Abantu bayitawo batya babawaabidde wano. Ekirungi ekya Kenya nti mu bamuzibe at least ya ttulu. Manyi waakiri erinako erimu eriraba. Ffe twaziba gombi, I'm sorry, persons with disability. Uganda tuli bazibe ba maaso gombi. Naye Kenya erimu liraba bweri. Eriya Judicial at least likyalaba. Olwaleero Justice Malaga eyasazaamu okulondebwa kwa Uhuru ali very active nnyo mu politics ow'amaanyi era agayidinga former Chief Justice Malaga. Justin Mutunga yali Attorney General naye ali active, n'abalala bali active, ne Judicial eri active. Mwalabye wano babadde maandamano yabaddewo just recently nga bajjukira omwaka nga guweze nga balwana nga abantu baabwe battiddwa bajenizi. Media babadde bagigambe temuddamu kola live coverage. Bakisaze okusawanga nnyawo. Ne bagamba live coverage tugiweze. Ba lawyers ne badduka mangu mu kooti kusaawa 4:5 zagenze okura mukaga nga bafunye court order gamba ebyo tubiyimiriza. So Kenya at least ekyali muko akamunyenya ya Deruto yagambye mukube ku maguru kuba wano waffe bakuba ku mutima na ku mutwe. Ruto yagambye waffe mukube ku maguru. Kakati yadde naye afaanana ng'ono tutor we ya mututoringa naye at least wakyali akamunyenya tulina essuubi nti justice system ye Kenya egenda kutuyambako ku lutalo ludo nga naffe eno bwe tulwana okulaba nga Dr. Besigye n'Obed Lutale bava mu kkomera. Museveni ali mu Kampala olunaku olwaleero atandise mbu campaign ze ku rawundi esembayo. Abaddeeyo ng'atambula ng'akampeininga ng'akuba rallies mu ggwanga lyonna nga yeekwese mu PDM naye ng'ali ku rallies. Kaakati amaliriza aggalawo campaign. Nominations za mu October. Era basubirwa nti nominations oluggwa campaign zitandike immediately oba mu October oba November. Naye Mwami Museveni mu week eno mu Kampala lwaggalawo campaigns amaliriza kati ali ku final round. Abadde yeetoloola mu ggwanga kati ali mu kukiggalawo. Eggwanga awo werituuse nti tetunaba na nominations naye ye ali mu kibuga campaigninga, ali mu kibuga Kampala yeetala. Bali mu kwetala wano naye ffe tebayinza kutukkiriza kuba nkiiko. Can imagine nange nga Lord Mayor w'ekibuga Kampala nembaga nti kati nange njagalayo lukuŋŋaana olw'amaanyi ku State Square. Constitutional Square ngate kyatekesawo Constitutional Square gye emirimu gye ino okubeera eyo Constitutional Square kiringa kati ekyafedda kambabuulire mmwe katono nnyo mu America genda mu Washington DC olwaleero kati bwe twogera olwaleero abaagala okwe-expressinga themselves bali ku Lafayette Square eri kumpi ne State House wali White House bali wali ne Constitutional Square bwe yali badde ng'abasuubuzi ab'obutale ababodaboda abatembeeyi ab'ekino buli ayagala okulaga obutali bumativu bwe ng'agenda Constitutional Square ebyo Mwami Museveni yabiggalawo n'agamba abagala okulaga obutali bumativu bamwe mugende e Kololo twakulemberwamu Dr. Besigye lumu ne tugenda e Kololo naye okuva olwo ne bagamba Kololo eggaddwawo olwaleero ne bw'oba oyagala otya naye yafuuka military barracks namba eri wali e Kololo in fact eringa military facility ate Independence grounds kaka tuli mu ggwanga ng'osoberwa Constitutional Square we tulina okweyagalira mu tteeka ddembe lyaffe liri mu ssemateeka Constitutional Square nzigale majege gagitwala Independence grounds mwe tulina okweyagalira mu independence yaffe amajje gagitwala meanwhile Mwami Yoweri Museveni ali mu kibuga abinuka oba akyabinuka simanyi oba asobola ku myaka egyo okubinuka naye ali mu kibuga yeetala tumutegeeza ebyo byonna abikole naye ewiiki ye keggwe naffe tugenda kusitula enkungu tugenda kusituka mu kibuga era tetumusuubira anti yaguddewo oluggi nti aye kibuga tusobola okugenda kati campaign kati full blown campaign bas naffe katumulinda amalirize ebibye naffe twetale mu kibuga mugenda kutuulira nga tutambula for God and my country.